It's hard to believe that it's been a little over 2 years since Toyota's performance division Gazoo Racing introduced the GR Corolla to America back in 2023. Now, as expected, this vehicle has been winning the hearts of enthusiasts around the country, and why wouldn't it with such impressive specs? A turbocharged bespoke 3-cylinder engine delivering 300 horsepower, a standard 6-speed manual, and a rally car style all-wheel drive system that would make a Subaru driver green with envy. Now, as you can expect, this segment of vehicle continues to get more competitive, so for 2025, the GR Corolla is getting its first round of updates, mostly centered around a new front fascia and a brand new automatic transmission. Now, as you can see, this week we are testing out the latest GR Corolla painted in heavy metal in the new Premium Plus trim level, and the big question I want answered: if you guys are a driving enthusiast looking for the ultimate track weapon that can also be used as a daily driver, how does the latest version of the GR Corolla stack up? Stay tuned to find out. Now, before we start talking about the slight styling changes that Toyota has made for 2025, let me first remind you guys what makes this car so special by talking about what's going on underneath the hood. And that's, again, a bespoke 3-cylinder turbo engine that was lifted out of the GR Yaris. For 2025, it does make a little bit more torque. Now, as you can see underneath this tidy hood, you're going to find a very special engine that essentially is an over-engineered but also slightly overstressed engine, but it's going to be designed to handle all kinds of crazy power improvements. Kind of think it as like a spiritual successor to the old 2JZ engine from the Mark IV Supra, although again, it's only half of in terms of the displacement, in terms of the cylinders. It's a 1.6-liter gasoline direct injection turbocharged inline 3-cylinder engine known internally as the G16E GTS motor. And in this application, it makes 300 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. The torque figure goes up versus the 273 in the I guess not really the pre-refresh, but the earlier models of the GR Corolla. That power figure used to be reserved for the Morizo edition, but that got discontinued after 2023. Basically, it gets that extra power courtesy of more boost, up to 26.3 psi of boost pressure, about 1 psi more versus when this car was originally launched. 300 horsepower, again, makes this thing around 100 horsepower per cylinder, which is a pretty impressive amount of power. Now, it all goes out through a standard 6-speed manual transmission, which is what my test car has here. The 6-speed manual is the enthusiast choice, but there's also a new 8-speed direct automatic transmission that was developed by Gazoo Racing as the automatic option. I'm hoping I can get an automatic at some point to test out for a full week, but the manual, again, is something that enthusiasts are going to go after, so the fact that Toyota still offers a stick is a great feature. Now, it all goes out through a new rally-style GR4 all-wheel drive system, and the all-wheel drive system comes with like 3 different additional settings: a normal mode with a 60-40 power split, a track mode with a 30-70 power split, or a gravel mode, which gives you a 50-50 power split. This whole powertrain combination is not built for fuel efficiency, it's built for performance. So it's rated at 21 in the city, 28 on the highway, about 24 combined. This has a 13.2 gallon fuel tank, and it's got a really paltry range of around 240 to 250 miles, depending again how, you can keep your right foot under control to get the best gas mileage, which is not really the point of this vehicle. Now, Toyota says 0 to 60 for the manual should be just under 5 seconds. Top speed is just under 150 miles an hour. And because this is, again, an all-wheel drive Corolla with additional strengthening and lots of performance upgrades, this is among the heaviest Corollas, weighing in at just over 3,300 pounds. But closing up the hood, let's go ahead and talk about the exterior styling of this Premium Plus trim level. Now, if you guys remember when the GR Corolla first launched, they offered it in 3 trims: Core, Circuit, and the Morizo edition. The Premium Plus trim sits at the top of the hierarchy, and this is kind of like a new version of the Circuit trim because it gets some of the features from the Circuit. Most specifically here, it's the upgraded hood. You can see it's got the bulging hood with the functional heat extractor vents. This color is called heavy metal for additional $500. Originally, that hood was only reserved for the Circuit and the Morizo, and I'm happy to see that it's here to stay because without the bulging hood and the heat extractors, the GR Corolla tends to look a little bit too much like a regular Corolla. Obviously, this is no such thing. It's very different from a regular Corolla, but you do have the same headlights. These are the full LED headlights, which have LED low and high beams, LED turn signals, LED daytime running lights, although the LED daytime running light is literally just the low beam that comes on at a low intensity. I would have preferred to have the daytime running light just be the outer area there, but the headlights always are basically on. You can see the front fascia is massive. The grille has been enlarged with functional air intake openings, even in the actual upper portion of the grille. There's a very distinctive GR badge along with an upgraded intercooler, lots of functional vents. As you can see, you have parking sensors that are well integrated into the front. The front splitter is also more aggressive. The bumper looks a little bit different this year. There's kind of more functional air intake openings and, like, again, a slightly different gloss black design. Overall, you really have to park next to the old model to see the differences in the front fascia, but this car just looks very boy racer. It looks very aggressive. It looks like it's the redheaded stepchild of the Corolla family because of how low and wide it is. Now, moving around the side profile, this is only offered as a hatch, and this vehicle is a little bit bigger than the standard Corolla hatch. With an overall length of 173.6 inches long. It's around 2 inches longer, a little over 2 inches longer than the regular Corolla, and it's also around 72.8 inches wide, a little over 2 inches wider, and an inch taller. So again, all of that bodywork is going to give this car a more aggressive stance to it, and it also just makes it look a lot more boy racer, as you can see. The wheels, these are the standard 18-inch wheels in a matte black finish with 15 multiple spokes, along with slotted 14-inch rotors with a 4-piston red painted caliper. You also get an upgraded suspension with this car, but no adaptive dampers. The whole suspension setup has been lowered, of course, to give this car a more slammed appearance to it. There are some other styling elements here that are different. You can see there's a functional heat extractor vent here, a GR badge here. The mirrors are also black painted. They are not power folding, but they do include integrated turn signals. No full 360 camera on this car. I wasn't expecting that. The Premium Plus trim also throws in the carbon fiber roof that you got from the Circuit Edition and the Morizo. This is definitely going to help lower the center of gravity and also strengthen the structure. Sadly, Toyota still does not offer a sunroof on the GR Corolla. That's a feature that I wish they would consider offering just for people who want it. As you can see, backing away from the vehicle, you can really see just how much wider this car is. Again, like I said, it's around 2 inches wider, a little over 2 inches wider than the standard Corolla. Toyota even had to fit it with these kind of bulging additional pieces here along the rear doors to match the bulging fenders around the back. I don't really love these wheels on this car. I really am just kind of over a matte black finish. I really hope Toyota offers a different style wheel with a different finish at some point, but that's something you can easily go to the aftermarket to address. Now, looking at the rear spoiler, this is definitely a small spoiler. In fact, the Circuit Edition had a much bigger wing, so that's the one feature that didn't carry over from the Circuit onto this Premium Plus trim. The wing looks really wimpy back here, so I imagine some of you who buy this car will probably want to swipe the wing from a Circuit Edition and put it on the back to give it a more aggressive look that goes with the rest of the body kit and design. You can see the taillights are a full LED, which have the kind of same C shape to the front headlights. You can see the turn signals are also LED. Reverse light is also LED. There's a GR badge there in front of the Corolla to let everybody know you have the special version. The rear wiper kind of sits right here in the middle of the glass. And as you can see, the rear bumper, very aggressive looking with the signature triple exhaust system. And that exhaust, Toyota says, is designed to let you really hear that 3-cylinder turbo. So let's go ahead and fire it up. You can hear how it sounds again real quick. And from the moment you start this vehicle up, everybody will know that you have a special Corolla from that deep sound that it makes. It's not quite as loud as some of the competitors like an Elantra N, but I do appreciate how unique and how much character this car has. Now, looking at the cargo space, the GR Corolla is only offered as a hatch, and as you can see, my test car has the new chassis bracing back here, which does strengthen up the suspension and the structure for better handling. It does affect your cargo flexibility a little bit because if you fold down those seats, that kind of gets in the way, but you have around 17.9 cubic feet of storage space. It's not a lot. You're going to get two more cubic feet in the Golf R and around 8 more cubic feet in the Honda Civic Type R, so kind of keep that in mind. Underneath the floor here, you can see the 12-volt battery lives back here for better weight distribution. No spare. You just get a fix-a-flat kit and an inflator, so you are going to have to deal with that if you get a flat tire on the road. If you want to fold down those back seats, Toyota doesn't quote what the actual number is, but I would estimate it's probably under 30 cubic feet if I had to guess. It's not a lot, so that's the thing about the GR Corolla. Dimensionally, it's a lot smaller versus like something like the Civic Type R, and even though the Golf R, which is a competitor, is a smaller vehicle on the outside, Volkswagen does a better job with packaging, and the Golf offers even more cargo space versus the GR Corolla hatch. Now moving on to the interior of this 2025 GR Corolla Premium Plus trim, let me first show you guys the key fob. You can see this is Toyota's latest Intelligent Access key fob. It does say GR on the back of the fob to remind you you have a special Corolla. No power liftgate or remote open for the trunk, so very simplified in terms of buttons, just lock, unlock, and then a panic feature. Toyota does offer their phone as a key, but I'm not entirely sure it's here on the GR Corolla. Let me know if you're an owner and you have that feature or not. But as you can see, when you approach the door handle, it's a very traditional pull style door handle. If you touch this little area here with the two lines, that will lock the door for you. The mirrors don't have a power fold feature. It's a Corolla after all. To unlock the door, just touch the back of the handle. That will unlock the door via the sensor pad. This vehicle does not offer an auto walkaway lock or unlock feature, unlike some of its rivals. Now, as you can see, with the premium trims and up, you do get an upgraded seat material and upgraded seats. These are essentially the synthetic leather with a synthetic velour material, so it's an Alcantara material. You can see the seats, they look pretty nice. I love the GR logo embossed in the headrest with the contrast red stitching. I hope you guys like a black interior though, because this is your only interior color combination. I do wish Toyota would offer like a red leather interior or a light gray leather interior, just to kind of mix things up. But again, this is kind of a limited production vehicle, so typically these performance cars only have a black interior. And as you can see, looking at the door panels, there are some soft touch injection molded plastic materials with a nice graining material. You have like a gray matte plastic door handle here. As you can see, piano black on this little grab handle area here. It's nice and padded, along with more piano black plastic trim. The windows are one touch for all four, which is kind of unexpected. They are also illuminated, no heated mirrors. It does hard touch plastic down here. And then when you guys go for the premium trims and up, you also get the upgraded JBL sound for when you get tired of listening to that 3-cylinder engine. Sadly, you cannot get power seats on a GR Corolla, just 4-way manual. You do get 2-level heated seats at least when you get this upgraded seat material. But overall, it does remind you that this is a lower end car, but it also looks pretty special with all the red stitching and those seats. Now getting inside, you can see the step-in is pretty low, typical of a hot hatch like this. As I shut the door, the door has a somewhat tinny sound when you do shut it, just like other Corolla models riding on this architecture. But as you can see, looking at the rest of this interior, it's pretty standard stuff here as the regular Corolla. Now, first of all, starting the vehicle up, it is a manual on my test car, so you have to put the clutch in, push the button here to fire up the engine. And again, it reminds you that this is a special car every time you start it up, because no other Corolla sounds like this. And Toyota also has equipped it with, I guess, the best tech you can get in a Corolla minus the center stack. You do have a fully digital 12.3-inch cluster, which is slightly customizable. You can change the way the tach looks to kind of give you a racing style tach where it just sits at the top. I prefer this setup with the traditional, I guess, oval shape for the tachometer and the digital speed. You also get a heads-up display with this trim, which I wasn't expecting. In terms of the rest of the materials, it is a slightly padded material on the upper portion of the dash with faux stitching. Same thing down here on this lower portion. I just don't like the way the dash kind of jets out toward you. It makes this interior feel a little cramped and claustrophobic. The steering wheel, as you can see, surprised it's not a flat bottom design. I also would have liked the wheel to be a little bit thicker in terms of the rim. You do have a GR badge here. No heated wheel, as you expected. And if you guys go for the new automatic model, you'll get paddles behind the wheel, but they look like cheap paddles from a Toyota Camry. You do have a manual tilt telescoping wheel, which offers a good amount of adjustability, so it's pretty easy to get a comfortable driving position. Sadly, if you guys are dealing with terrible drivers on the road and when you go to honk, it literally has the weakest, wimpiest sounding horn I've ever heard in a production car. I would personally replace that with a much meatier tone if I was an owner of this vehicle. There is some hard touch plastic here, traditional air vents, as you can see, and you do have some buttons here to control basically what that screen looks like. The Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 is also included with some of the features here, along with your audio controls. So the steering wheel, I think Toyota could do a nicer looking wheel, make this thing feel a little bit special. Ditto with the center stack. As you can see, GR Corollas only come with the smaller 8-inch display. Now, this does have their latest Toyota audio multimedia interface. For 2025, on other trims of the Corolla, you can get a newer, bigger 10.5-inch display, which is absent in the GR Corolla. That's annoying. I would have preferred to have the most expensive Corolla also have a bigger display, but it does have, again, wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. It's relatively easy to use when you're trying to navigate through the system. It has built-in GPS as well, although it's a cloud-based GPS. You also get a volume knob here, but again, it's nothing really special to look at, and it also is looking pretty small, especially compared to the new Golf R, which has a nearly 13-inch display. Even the Civic Type R has a 9-inch display, so kind of keep that in mind. The manual transmission is a great manual. You can see the throws are nice and short. It has that perfect snickety-snick through the gates. Love the GR shift knob as well. Pull pull up on this ring to go into reverse. When you do that, you can see your backup camera has really terrible graphics. It doesn't even have trajectory. Like, come on, Toyota, seriously. But at least it has parking sensors. But again, you have to deal with the crappy tech in this car. So I'm hoping Toyota will eventually improve that by giving us the larger display at some point. You have a dual zone climate control function, which I wasn't expecting. I think that's included on all GR Corollas, but I could be mistaken. It could also be only on the premium trims and up. The premium trims and up will give you 2-level heated seats, which I find the heated seat switches to be annoying. When you put your smartphone in here, you can easily accidentally hit the heated seat on accident. If it's a hot day outside, you better be careful because it'll literally roast your back and your bottom. If you're not paying attention, you can see there's some matte plastic here, which I appreciate. It's all hard touch. You do have some faux reds or some faux stitching here, which the contrast red, which is nice. That button there turns on and off the auto rev match function. They call it IMT. Your drive mode selector is here. You can see it goes from an eco, a normal, a sport, and then a custom mode. And then you can also see this little knob rotates and pushes in to change the all-wheel drive system. So push it in, go to a track, which is up to a 30-70 torque split, more rearward bias. Twist it over to the left to normal, that gives you a 60-40 torque split. And then if you twist it to the right, that goes into gravel, which is a 50-50 torque split. It makes a difference when you're driving. We'll try it out later on when we get out on the road. The piano black plastic here I don't love, gets fingerprints and smudges pretty easily. You do have a traditional pull style handbrake, which enthusiasts are gonna love when you wanna go into the snow or you wanna do some drifts with this car, which is nice. You can see the center console area here is non-existent. You basically just have a little platform here where you can put some things. My wallet has to sit out here. No armrest here. That's another thing that I wish Toyota would add, is because every time I get in this vehicle, I'm kind of falling in with the lack of the armrest. It really just kind of pisses me off. But again, it reminds you that the GR Corolla is on the cheaper end of the scale in terms of their hierarchy. I like the red perforated holes here. Again, ventilated seats would have been nice, especially at this price point. Buy a Golf R if you want more luxury touches. You can see the glove box is damped but not lined with felt. It's a pretty big bin style. It offers some good storage. The JBL audio system sounds okay. It's not as good as the Harman Kardon or the Bose that you'll get in the Golf or the Civic Type R, or even the Subaru WRX has a better sounding audio system. But again, it's not the mission of a GR Corolla. So overall, in terms of the visibility, the A-pillars are a little bit on the thicker side. The hood has those nice bulges, which gives you the indication you're in a special vehicle. You do have some LED map lighting, no auto dimming mirror, just a traditional cheap mirror that you have to flip to kind of get rid of glare. No sunroof means you have a little more headroom space, but I have to say, guys, this car doesn't have that much headroom as well for somebody my height, 5'7". If you're taller, it'll be tough to kind of squeeze a helmet on and get into this vehicle when you're track driving. But other than that, the interior is the standard Corolla stuff, and this is where I wish Toyota would have given this car more features, more tech or better tech features, a little bit more luxury features to kind of help justify the huge increase in the price tag. But let's go ahead and hop into the back seat. I can show you guys what that space is like. And this is where the GR Corolla, again, shows its limitations here, because first of all, that door doesn't open very large, and you only get around 29.9 inches of legroom back here. That is really small, a whopping 5 to 7 inches less versus a lot of its rivals. Material quality back here is hard touch plastic. You do have cup holders, and you also have some piano black plastic trim here. At least the windows are one touch up down for all four, which is nice, and it's padded over here. And I mentioned earlier, these seats do fold, and when they do fold, they do create a flat floor. But again, this bracing here gets in the way if you actually need to put items back here. So you can skip that. It's an a la carte option if you guys prefer to have more flexibility and you don't care about the stiffness. Now, getting back here, you can see, oh, it's pretty tight. You have to duck your head pretty bad to get back here. And this is essentially my driving position at just under 30 inches of legroom. I fit back here, and I could sit back here in relative comfort, as you can see. Good foot space. There is a hump here for the middle passengers. You do get one USB-C charging port in addition to another one, I believe, up there. Yep, you can see it right there in the dash. A 12-volt power outlet here. No rear seat air vents. You do have two storage cubbies here, which is nice. I do appreciate how the Alcantara and the synthetic leather carries over consistently back here. And Toyota does include a rear seat armrest, which is unexpected, which gives you two cup holders. There is an LED map light back here, in addition to headroom space, which isn't great. Again, the GR Corolla is tight in terms of packaging, in terms of interior space, so kind of keep that in mind. If you guys are planning to use this as a family vehicle, you will find more practicality in the Civic, the Subaru, and even the smaller Volkswagen GTI and Golf R. So here we are back behind the wheel of the red-headed stepchild for the Toyota Corolla family, the GR Corolla, the Gazoo Racing Corolla. This is literally like the opposite of what you expect a Toyota Corolla to be. I mean, we're talking about a manual transmission, although you can get it with an 8-speed automatic now, although I haven't had a chance to spend a week with the automatic yet. The manual Toyota sent me here is a clear reminder that the company is remembering what driving enthusiasts want. I mean, the car has an active rev match function. We now have the 295 foot-pounds of torque that's standard across the board. That used to be reserved for the Morizo trim, and now, of course, it is included when you guys go for even the base version of the GR Corolla. Now, the last one that I 0 to 60 tested almost 2 years ago basically did it in 4.9 seconds, which is bang on with what Toyota claims this powertrain can do. I haven't had a chance to fully 0 to 60 test the automatic version. I'm hoping I can get a hold of one sometime later this year, but let's go ahead and see what we can get on this, our usual stretch of road in this particular example here. To do so, you basically need to put it into its sport, put the four-wheel drive system into its track mode, turn the stability control into its expert setting, and then you basically dump the clutch and really rev it hard. So let's try it. That was a little too much revs. Oh, that was a good one. Ooh. All right, 0 to 60 in 5.07 seconds. That's with it me doing around a 5,500, almost 6,000 clutch dump, which I don't like to do, but that's really the way you want to launch a vehicle like this. You want to basically build up the revs. Some have said to literally rev this car out to like 7,000 RPM. I'm just not quite comfortable doing so. Because again, it's not my car. I don't want to have to be abusing the crap out of it like that. But if you get it right, you basically want to let the clutch out fast, but you also want to let the clutch out smoothly, because if you start to sidestep it, it'll bog and you won't be able to get the quick acceleration time. So it's a little bit of an art, a finesse to get it right. Let's try another run here. This time it's going to be slightly more uphill. Oh yeah. 5.3 seconds there. That's with it more going slightly uphill. But again, I got the launch right there and it was nice. I mean, this thing is actually consistently good at launching as long as you can get the footwork right. Again, I've driven manual for basically my whole like adult life, ever since I learned how to drive stick. And there's a little bit of practice here and there, but I mean, 5.07 seconds is pretty much the same as what I got in the last one that I tested a couple of years ago, which this powertrain is just absolutely a joy. It makes all the right noises and it loves to rev. The only thing I would criticize is the engine, it hits its Redline and the rev limiter pretty abruptly at like 7,100 RPM. You'll run into the fuel cutoff really abruptly, and that's the part where I wish it had more revs. I want it to rev like an extra 1,000 RPM, but man, is this thing fun to drive. I love the sound, I love the feel. My particular test car has the optional chassis bracing, and it feels even stiffer than the last GR Corolla I tested. The steering is just so alive. It talks to you. I can feel what the front tires are doing. The chassis is so stiff. The suspension stays nice and flat. This thing just feels like it corners or it handles like on rails. I mean, it's really unheard of that Toyota could do something like this, because the regular Corolla, let's be honest, it actually doesn't drive all that bad. But if you guys are, an enthusiast, you haven't had a chance to give Toyota a chance at a performance-oriented car, this is where the car is going to really surprise you. It is surprising just how Toyota was able to accomplish this car, and they did it again completely in-house. This is not shared with any kind of BMW or Subaru. Now I have the all-wheel drive system in the track mode, which can send up to 70% of the torque to the rear axle. Now that's not quite enough, or at least I never noticed it was enough to let the back end step out when I really put my foot down. I've had the stability control in its expert setting, so it tailors back control. But you can also switch it into a normal, which is 60/40, and then there's the gravel, which is a 50/50. So there's lots of different adjustments here, which is kind of similar to what Subaru does with their all-wheel drive system. Let's try another run here. This time it's on flat surfaces, or a flat surface. Oh yeah. Chirped into second there. 5.35 there. So this car doesn't necessarily need a shift into third. It'll hit 60 in second gear, but you're gonna be banging off that rev limiter. So kind of keep that in mind. You wanna drive this vehicle like you stole it. That's basically the quickest way to get the acceleration out of this car, but do it right and it rewards you. That's a really satisfying feel that it does. Oh, oh yes, I love it. I love it. This thing is alive. It makes all the right noises. The steering is so sharp and quick. The seats are also comfortable. They hold me in place nicely. The shifter also is really good. This is pretty much on par with the shifter in the Golf, the Golf R, the old Golf R. Same thing with the Civic Type R. This thing just feels like it corners on rails. I'm starstruck. I love this car. I've forgotten how good it is. I mean, yes, I've driven this car a couple times, but sometimes I drive too many SUVs, too many electric vehicles. I forgot what it's like to drive a car that's just for the enthusiast. Now, I did just hop out of a Volkswagen Golf R, which the Golf R sadly doesn't offer a manual anymore, which makes me sad because this manual in this car is good. I love shifting my own gears when I don't have to deal with traffic. Now, granted, the Golf R is significantly quicker. It'll do 0 to 60 around over a half a second faster than this car. That's because its dual clutch can do some voodoo magic and really launch it hard, which you can do with this, but my shifting is just never gonna be as fast as a computer. So that's kind of the sad truth of it. The one thing about the GR Corolla is it does have 4 different drive modes. I'll put the drive mode into normal here. I also like the active rev match function. It does a pretty good job at just actually downshift rev matching, and it does it in a way that's smoother than even I could do it. And I consider myself a pretty decent stick driver. But this car does not have any kind of adaptive dampers. The chassis bracing definitely stiffens up the chassis. You can feel it. But what I notice about this car is it's always kind of in its maximum attack mode. Even in its normal or eco setting, the car just never wants to settle down into a quietness to where, you know, you'd feel in like a Golf R. It's always a little high strung. You get that sense of it. So the ride quality is stiff. Over anything that's not smooth pavement, you're gonna notice the bumps all the time. The seats thankfully do hold you in place and they're comfortable. I was driving this car on a longer trip and I found the seats to be really comfortable. There's a little bit more engine noise than I would like, and road noise and just noise overall. So it's a little bit loud. Now that could just be me turning into like a fat old man and I'm just kind of like, I want something a little more comfortable. But the 20-something me would have been like, this is totally fine. I could easily daily drive this. Now I could daily drive this, but it would probably start to tire me out because it's just a little bit too high strung at times, a little bit too noisy. And that's where, again, the Golf R is gonna give you a little bit more comfort, and you can kind of dial the suspension back, which Toyota doesn't offer on the GR Corolla. No adaptive suspension whatsoever. But in terms of fuel efficiency, this 3-cylinder 1.6, you'd think it'd be fuel efficient and it's not. 2128 mpg is what it's rated. I was only averaging around 230-ish miles of range on a full tank, and that's because my average mpg was like 18 miles to the gallon, having way too much fun. Now on the highway, I was able to get around 26 mpg, which is just shy of the 28. But why would you want to drive this thing economically? It's just not built. It doesn't feel like it enjoys that. It feels like it wants to be, it's begging to be driven hard. It's begging to be attacking your favorite corner, your back road. I mean, the all-wheel drive system is fantastic, but then if you just want to drive it normally, you can put it into its GR4 normal, which is a 60% front, 40% torque bias rear, and you can basically just drive this car like a Corolla. Now, granted, it's a stiffer, louder, it's the red-headed stepchild of the Corolla family. Look, there's a Corolla right there. And it's kind of crazy that they come from the same family, because this car feels like a completely different animal entirely. And that's kind of the beauty about the GR Corolla. It feels special. It feels like it's built for drivers. And, you know, once you kind of get past the rest of the Corolla cheapness, the tech in this car is not great. It's got a really tiny 8-inch display. Fuel economy is not good. I'm looking forward to driving the automatic at some point for a week. But, I mean, overall, I couldn't ask for anything more as an enthusiast from a driving perspective. However, from, you know, an adult perspective, this is kind of where the Corolla, the GR Corolla, lacks a little bit of the nicer features, nicer amenities you get in its slightly more expensive competitors. Now, for decades, if you were looking to buy a reliable, fuel-efficient, but also boring commuter car, the Toyota Corolla nameplate has been an easy choice. In fact, this is a big seller for Toyota globally. Here in America, sales still remain relatively strong, with over 232,000 units sold in the US. Now, of course, Toyota does not disclose how many of those Corolla sales are actually the GR Corolla. I believe in 2023, in their first year, Toyota said that they sold around 5,500 units, but they didn't tell us how many they sold last year in 2024. This was the best-selling manual transmission Toyota in the US, so clearly that was kind of an indication that everybody who wanted a GR Corolla picked one up in its first model year, but only time will tell how sales for this vehicle continues to progress as we go forward into the model years. But after spending a full week with this version of the GR Corolla in the Premium Plus trim with the 6-speed manual, which is the classic enthusiast choice, I have to say this literally is basically everything you didn't expect a Corolla to be. It is the red-headed stepchild of the Corolla family, and that's a very good thing because the powertrain and the manual transmission in this car are just sublime. It's one of the best powertrain combinations you can get. As you guys saw, 0 to 60 happens in just a smidge over 5 seconds. It's relatively easy to launch. The all-wheel drive system would literally make Subaru drivers green with envy. And while the ride quality is on the stiffer side, this is where something like a Golf R or even a Civic Type R has a better ride quality because Toyota doesn't offer adaptive dampers on this car. The transmission is among the best shifting manuals. The seats are really comfortable. I just wish that Toyota would do something about the interior. It feels cheap. It feels behind the times. It feels really cramped as well. Toyota's new TNGA architecture, while it is stiff and strong, isn't really great in terms of packaging for interior space and cargo flexibility. The back seat is also on the small side if you guys plan to use this as a family vehicle. This is where the Civic and the Golf are going to offer way more flexibility. Same thing with the Subaru WRX, which is only offered as a sedan, but that also is a nice option if you guys are looking for a more traditional, shaped kind of vehicle. Now, if you guys are looking to get your hands on a GR Corolla, I'm just happy that this car is still available because there were talks about the Circuit Edition being, again, a one-year thing, which they technically offered in 2024, but now it's still here as a Premium Plus trim minus the wing on the back, which could be solved with the aftermarket. GR Corollas have gotten more expensive over the years, starting at just under $39,000, around $38,835 for the base core trim. Now, of course, that comes with an asterisk because now the core comes standard with the limited slip front and rear diffs, which was previously an option package that was a couple $1,000s, I believe. So in reality, the pricing has basically stayed the same. Toyota just decided to give us more equipment as standard equipment, which I imagine most owners probably wanted those limited slip diffs anyways. The premium trim is kind of the nice middle ground. It gives you the upgraded seat with that leather and suede Alcantara combination with the heat functionality, the JBL audio system for around 41 grand. That seems to be the sweet spot because if you guys want this trim, the Premium Plus, which has the heads-up display and that carbon fiber roof, it's around $45,500 to start with options. My test car here with the destination charge comes to around $48,000. That's right, we are staring at a nearly $50,000 Corolla, which is kind of crazy because the base Corolla hatchback starts at around $23,800. But again, 16 grand gets you a lot versus just the engine. I mean, the engine alone is probably worth that kind of money along with the powertrain and gearbox. But in reality, what you're getting here is a Corolla that feels completely different. It feels like a track-focused weapon that you can also daily drive. And as long as you're okay with the firmer ride quality and the slightly noisy, cheap-feeling interior, this is definitely worth a look. Especially if you guys want something that's truly special, that's going to feel like a special vehicle long down the road. With all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Toyota GR Corolla in the Premium Plus trim level. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at Redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.